A lot of people coming to Korea are probably interested in trying out some amazing Korean barbecue. Grilled right in front of you in the middle of the table, with the ventilation systems getting the smoke out of your face, so you can sit back and enjoy the juicy tender meat paired together with some amazing Korean side dishes, and maybe some soju or beer as well. This all sounds great, but it can be extremely intimidating for people coming to Korea who don't know how to eat it, especially since a lot of the barbecue restaurants here are quite different from the Korean restaurants I've been to abroad. And the aim of this video is hopefully to help you know how to find a good restaurant, and we'll introduce some of our favorite restaurants all with different types of barbecue we love, including Korean Chinese fusion, and explain how to eat it as well. Let's start out by first explaining the most important thing. Most barbecue restaurants have a minimum portion size of 2 servings. So if you're a solo traveler, check out our guide on how to eat alone in Korea, which is in the description, which includes a barbecue restaurant for people eating alone. Or if you want to try eating 2 servings by yourself at a regular restaurant, you can say Ee-in-bun ju-mun-hal-geyo, which means I will order 2 servings. Or copy and paste the text from the description and show it to them. And most restaurants should let you in no problem. Also, most barbecue restaurants just serve one type of meat, such as pork, beef, or chicken, etc. Let's start out with how to find a good restaurant. We're going to use Naver Maps, which has an English version too, but you're going to have to copy and paste some Korean words into it to get the most options to choose from. We included a Google Docs link of the most common meat names we can think of, and we can always add more. So let us know in the comments if you're looking for something else, and we'll add it to the list as soon as we can. Basically, just copy the Korean name from the Google Doc, paste it into Naver Maps, and look for restaurants nearby. I'd choose a place with relatively high ratings, like over 4 stars, and a decent amount of reviews. But reviews aren't everything, and a lot of restaurants give free menu items in exchange for reviews. So I usually look at the menu and pictures as well as the reviews to get a good sense of the place. But the menu will mostly be in Korean, so you might have to translate with Google Translate or Papago. Now let's go over some of our favorite types of barbecue in Korea. Show you our go-to places, which are a lot more local than the places you'd find in areas like Hongdae or Myeongdong. So we'll share some tips on how to eat there. But just so you know, you don't have to travel across the entire city to eat at these places specifically, as there's amazing barbecue all over Seoul and Korea. And we're gonna start with the legendary samgyeopsal, or pork belly, my favorite barbecue in Korea, at a relatively new place we discovered recently that's on the modern side, right by Sinchon station.
Hello, hello.
We're in Sinchon now, really close to where we live. And we're gonna show you a samgyeopsal place around here called Geum-gogi Bistro. And it's kind of a more modern place, and we wanted to show some variety of samgyeopsal places. So.
약간 모던이면서 좀 특이한 띠미 있잖아. 가서 보여주도록 하자.
What sets Geum-gogi Bistro apart from a regular samgyeopsal place is its layout. Instead of the traditional steel round tables we love that you see at most places, at Geum-gogi Bistro, it's set up like a bar, which is perfect because here they do the grilling for you, so they can easily do it behind the counter. And that's one of the reasons we really wanted to recommend it to newcomers who might want to watch someone else cook before trying it out themselves. There are also various highballs, cocktails, and draft beer you can order, but in my opinion, nothing pairs together with samgyeopsal quite as perfectly as soju, so go for it if you want to get a little bit wild. When you cook samgyeopsal, you want to make sure the grill is nice and hot before you start, and sometimes you'll get a piece of fat to grease up the grill like this. Then when it's ready, throw on the slabs of meat, together with the seisongi-bosot or king oyster mushrooms. And after a couple of minutes, the samgyeopsal will brown. And this is when you flip it over to the back, and repeat for the sides as well if you get a thick cut like this one. And once all the sides have browned, it's time to cut it up with scissors into slices about 2 centimeters thick. Grill them until they are nice and brown, ensuring the inside is fully cooked, and then you're good to go. It's usually recommended to dip samgyeopsal in salt for the first bite. 맛있지?
아, 맛있지 뭐.
And then you can go wild by eating it together with samjang, a mix of gochujang and doenjang, garlic, kimchi, mushrooms, and just get creative with the panchan or side dishes in front of you, as there isn't really a way to screw it up. Geum-gogi Bistro also has sopbap, or pot rice, cooked in about 5 minutes right in front of you with this really cool lid on top of a bowl that looks like it's from an industrial factory or something. And the rice comes out literally perfect. Shiny, smooth, and a bit firm, but soft enough to be enjoyable with every bite. 맛있지? Add water to the bowl to make sungnyung as well. Close the lid and enjoy it when you're finished eating. And then last but not least, doenjangjjigae, or Korea's version of miso soup with lots of vegetables, tofu, and sometimes meat or seafood as well. It's incredibly savory, and in my opinion, nothing takes the kick off of soju like chasing it with some nice doenjangjjigae. That place was really, really good. It was our second time going there. It's got a really kind of relaxed, like jazzy vibe in there. There's really nice music and a nice place, which is quite different from your average samgyeopsal place too. So
반찬이 딱 있을 거 있고 깔끔하고 맛도 맛있고 솥밥이 바로 앞에서 해주잖아. 보는 재미도 있지만 맛도 진짜 바로 딱 솥밥 먹으면 정말 맛있거든. 그리고 고기를 진짜 잘 구워주셨고
맞아.
고기 질도 좋았어. 뭔가 비계랑 그 살이 적절히 잘 섞여가지고 정말 맛있는 맛이랄까?
I'd have a really hard time picking a true number one samgyeopsal place, as sometimes I want it served on an angled grill, where the kimchi and the other side dishes get cooked perfectly in the savory juices, and sometimes I want ningdong samgyeopsal, or frozen samgyeopsal, which is kind of a mix between bacon and samgyeopsal, and nice and crispy. And then there's daepe samgyeopsal, or thinly sliced samgyeopsal, which is lighter and perfect for sam, or lettuce wraps. I'd say Geum-gogi Bistro is good if you want to focus on the meat itself, kind of like eating a steak. But it's time to change things up completely. Just a short walk away. This next place is also in Sinchon. It is Chinese food in Korea, Yang-kkochi, or lamb skewers. It's so good that I figured we'd have to recommend it. Although Yang-kkochi is originally a Chinese dish called
羊肉串儿
and apparently amazing in China, the way they do it in Korea is unique, so we want to recommend it. And you'd think that going to Seoul's Chinese district of Taerim would be the best way to go, but our favorite place we used to frequent there closed down, unfortunately. And Myeongseong Yang-kkochi in Sinchon has become the closest thing to it that we found on our hunt for a replacement. When you get inside, you can order off the touchscreen, and you have to order 2 servings. And the skewers come out like this, seasoned to perfection, with not that much fat either. Then they load the coals into the middle of the table and press a button that starts a conveyor belt system with the ventilation on top. So when you load the lamb skewers on, they automatically twist and turn for you, making it incredibly easy for even beginners to cook it. Once the skewers brown and the fat starts dripping off of them, you know they're ready. So you can slide the meat off the skewers onto your plate with chopsticks and dip them into an amazing mix of seasonings called juran, which is a mix of hot pepper flakes, sesame seeds, pepper, salt, and cumin seeds, and is an explosion of flavor and has become one of my favorite flavors of all time. We also ordered oksusumeon, or corn noodles, which can be served hot or cold, and the broth is a really interesting mix of savory and almost a bit of a sour kick, and perfect for rinsing out the mouth, just like the jasai muchim, or salted spicy radish, and sweetly marinated onions. And also, this was the first time we've ever received something free for filming at a restaurant, maybe from the big camera, as they wanted us to try out other dishes like the okegabi, or shoulder ribs, which was similar in flavor but a lot chewier and harder to eat than regular Yang-kkochi, and maragabi, or mara seasoned ribs, which is similar in texture to regular Yang-kkochi but a lot sweeter, and we're both not huge fans of mara flavor, to be honest, so I'd still recommend regular Yang-kkochi over both of them, but we still really appreciate the fact that they let us try. Yeah, we've been to a ton of Yang-kkochi places before, and this place just kind of does it all like very standard and very well at the same time. It's just kind of like a place that's really easy to predict. The meat is good quality. For the third time too, it was really good. We didn't know what to do. That was our first time getting free meat from a place before, so.
근데 약간 우리 자리가 굉장히 안쪽에 있고 막 선풍기도 켜주고 이러신 거 보니까 약간 그 자리에 우리가 있었기 때문에 받은 것도 있는 것 같아요.
맞아.
여자 사장님이 손도 크신 것 같아요.
I know that in China, if you eat Yang-kkochi, it's normally like a street food that you just get on the side of the street. They kind of like cook it in front of you on these like big long wooden sticks. So the Korean version is definitely unique in its own way with like the kind of rotating skewers and stuff like that. But I thought the experience was really cool the first time I tried it.
여기가 보통 거의 항상 바빠. 좀 시간에 잘 맞춰서 오면 좋을 것 같아. 한 5시? 조금 일찍 오면은 자리를 잡기가 더 쉬울 것 같고, 그리고 바베큐 있잖아. 너무 맛있거든? 근데 가끔 이렇게 안 구워주는 것도 있잖아. 그럼 사실 구우면서 막 친구랑 이야기하면서 이게 되게 힘들거든.
맞아.
그럴 때는 이렇게 자동으로 구워주는 저런 양꼬치를 먹으면 뭐 이야기 나누면서 놀면서 이렇게 마시고 먹고 하기에 굉장히 좋다.
It's time to go over to Ikseondong, right beside the tourist area of Insadong, and dive deeper into a place we introduced in our Seoul 7-day itinerary called Jongsamyuk, as I can't think of a better place to introduce newcomers to traditional Korean barbecue than here, as tourists visit it all the time, so there are English-speaking staff and menus here. Jongsamyuk has 2 floors, and tons of traditional steel barbecue tables indoors and outdoors, and it's usually absolutely packed in the nice weather, so I'd only go here if you don't mind a louder place that's a bit chaotic. They sell multiple cuts of pork and hanwoo, or Korean beef. We ordered the gamegisa, or pork skirt meat, which has a more meaty bite to it than the crispy and fatty samgyeopsal we tried earlier. And it's also marinated, making it nice and tender, with a touch of sweetness. And here they don't cook for you, but it's not too hard. So just let the grill heat up until it's quite hot, throw on the slabs of meat, and just like with samgyeopsal, brown both sides, cut into about 2 centimeter slices with the scissors, and grill the slices until they're crispy brown and fully cooked. And then you can put them on the side of the grill to stay warm but stop cooking. Gamegisa goes really perfect in sam, or lettuce wraps, so you could put on the meat, samjang, garlic, and whatever banchan or side dishes you're in the mood for. The gamegisa is super juicy and bursting with flavor, so we highly recommend it, as well as the kimchi jjigae, or kimchi stew, which comes in one of these brass pots, giving it a nice traditional charm. And there's also samgyeopsal or pork belly inside together with tofu, which both go together with kimchi perfectly. And of course, it's the perfect chaser to soju, which also goes perfectly with gamegisa. And now we've covered 2 types of pork barbecue, so we're gonna move on from pork and try out a type of chicken barbecue that both of us had never tried before this video in the neighborhood of Sindorin in southwest Seoul.
오늘은 닭갈비를 먹으러 갈 건데 보통 닭갈비 얘기하면 2가지 종류가 있거든? 이렇게 철판에다 하는 그런 닭갈비 있어. 약간 매운 양념이 들어간 그런 닭 볶음 같은 게 있고 이거는 닭을 정말로 구워서 잘라서 먹는 거거든? 그래서 한번 먹으러 가볼게.
Now Korea is definitely famous for its fried chicken, but when it comes to grilling chicken, it's not nearly as common as it is to grill pork or beef. But Eugene Imo helped us out with this one, and recommended us to a place called Palgak-do, a chain that specializes in suppu dakabi, or chicken ribs grilled over coals. When we got inside, we noticed immediately that it had a very wide open family restaurant type atmosphere, kind of typical from what you'd expect from a chain. And if you come with a bigger group of people, you could order one of the platters with a variety of different cuts of chicken. But for us, we went for the regular suppu dakabi, and the table was already set with a variety of banchan or side dishes, with some very non-traditional looking sauces as well. Here the employees will help get you started by grilling the seaweed first, which we're still not sure why, and then the chicken ribs together with tepa or scallions, and gwarigochu or shishito peppers, which are usually mildly spicy and one of the most underrated peppers in my opinion. After they cut the 닭갈비 for you, it's up to you to finish, making sure the chicken is fully cooked just by flipping the cuts from time to time. And then once it's a bit brown and crispy on the outside, it's time to dig in. Eugene tried it first with this white sauce that had a bit of a sweet garlic flavor. And then I tried it with this orange sauce.
이 소스가 맛있네. 굽네 치킨 느낌이야.
We also got really lucky because there was an event on Tuesdays for a free corn cheese keranjim, or corn cheese steamed eggs, which is a great addition to the 닭갈비. And there are a lot of side dishes to choose from that you can mix and match with the chicken, but I wish they had samjang to dip the vegetables in, as the other sauces here paired better with the chicken than banchan in my opinion. Alright, so that was the first place we've done so far where that was our first time there as well. So we can't say it's one of our favorite places, but it was a good experience, like trying 닭갈비 in a new style. That's quite a bit lighter than ordering fried chicken for sure.
그 다른 일반 닭갈비 있잖아. 철판 닭갈비. 어쨌든 그거는 빨간 양념이 들어갔잖아. 그래서 매운 걸 좋아하는 그런 걸 시도해 볼 수 있는데 뭔가 매운 거를 별로 안 좋아한다거나 그런 분들은 이 숯불 닭갈비 여기는 간장 베이스로 한 거거든? 그런 걸 취향대로 골라서 찍어 먹을 수 있으니까 되게 좋았고 뭔가 철판 닭갈비보다 숯불 닭갈비는 진짜 구워서 막 자르고 이런 게 있으니까 좀 더 정말 외식하는 그런 느낌이 나니까 좀 더 재밌었던 것 같아.
And that place is a good place to go with families as well, because the table seating and stuff is pretty convenient. It's time to talk about Hanwoo, or Korean beef, which many might call the holy grail of Korean barbecue. But it's really important to note that beef in Korea is often twice as expensive or more than it is for pork. So if you just type in Hanwoo to Naver Maps, you're looking at spending over 50,000 won per person easily. It'll be amazing quality for sure, but we can't justify those prices, especially when cheaper barbecue restaurants are so good. And luckily we found a place in southwest Seoul about 6 years ago that's still around, and almost the same price per gram as the pork restaurants we introduced earlier.
For this last place, we're in a Kuro Digital Tanji, Kuro Digital Complex, and we saved Hanwoo, or Korean beef, for the end. So we don't eat this that often, but we know a place around here that we used to go to, and it's quite a bit cheaper than the other Hanwoo we've had before.
The place we're going to today is called Hanwoo Madang, or Hanwoo Garden. And in Korea, if you ever find a restaurant like this with a faded sign that's survived the competitive market for a while, you know you've hit the jackpot. There are 2 floors here, but you need to go to the first floor to get your spot. And when you enter, you can see it's not fancy at all, and actually quite casual, as the food does all the talking here. And you can see there's a variety of banchan or side dishes, but they are mostly complementary to the Hanwoo, the star for today. And they also have different options such as chadobagi, or thinly sliced beef brisket. We recommend the 1+ sengdeungsim, or Hanwoo sirloin, which is 59,000 won for 500 grams. Technically enough for 3 people, so we made sure to go on an empty stomach to devour it all, as this is a special treat for us. Most Hanwoo places cook for you, so you don't have to worry about messing up the expensive meal, and Hanwoo Madang is no exception. But if you're cooking it yourself, it's best to cook one side for a couple minutes until it's brown, and then flip it exactly once to preserve the juices inside. And then you can cut it into smaller pieces, and keep cooking until your desired finish. And here the focus is definitely the meat, so just dip it in salt and enjoy the super tender juicy beef. And before you finish eating all the meat, leave about 5 or 6 pieces left, as we're going for what many Koreans call their favorite dessert, bokkeumbap, or fried rice. It sounds funny, but this is one of the most common ways to finish a meal here. And at Hanwoo Madang, they combine gakdugi, or finely sliced radish kimchi, with the rice, which is an absolute must-try in our opinion.
맛있네. 깍두기라는 무 김치거든? 근데 무가 불에 이렇게 굽거나 익히면 단맛이 나. 맛있어.
That was absolutely amazing for sure. It's been a really long time since we've been there. Honestly, today was the best from what I can remember. That's probably our 5th time or something like that. If you're into like just steak or tender beef, it's really tender. Really juicy.
여기 그릴이 조금 바뀌었거든? 그리고 고기가 질이 진짜 좋아. 그래서 이렇게 구우니까 완전 너무 맛있고, 처음에 구워주실 때 그 레이어 있잖아. 처럼 구워주셔. 그리고 불을 끄고 가시면 우리가 먹고 싶은 대로 이렇게 맞춰서 구워서 먹는 것도 너무 좋았고, 반찬도 정갈하고 딱 있을 것만 있고 아주 맛있었던 것 같아. 그리고 특히 이제 그 볶음밥은 강추.
Yeah, I've seen like a lot of Hanwoo places in places like Apgujeong or Gangnam that go up to like 150,000 won for 2 people. We just kind of ate whatever we wanted, and we paid about half of that here. So this place is like really strong recommendation for those who are looking to eat some Korean beef. Don't mind kind of a more casual atmosphere, and it's really good, so strongly recommend it.
And that does it for this video, introducing some of our favorite and also new barbecue restaurants in Western Seoul. And there are so many different types of barbecue in Korea that we couldn't cover in this video. So we're thinking about making a part 2 in Busan someday while traveling in our new van to continue this guide almost like a mini-series. So hopefully we can get to that in the next little while. But thank you so much for sparing your time to watch our video. And thank you all so much for your amazing kind words and generosity. We're so incredibly lucky and thankful to have such nice people watching our lives and cheering us on like that. So we just want to say how much we appreciate it. And this next week is our last week in our house before we move into a van. So I'm not sure if we'll be able to get a video out next week, but we hope to see you as soon as possible.